This week we discuss and research non-point source pollution, one of the major remaining water quality management problems that does not follow the traditional source management controls typical under the Clean Water Act. Because non-point source pollution is not regulated directly under the law, novel approaches are necessary to address this important source of water pollution. EPA's 319 grants, the Total Maximum Daily Load Program, and volunteer watershed management groups comprise the arsenal of approaches that are attempting to address non-point source pollution. The major reason the Clean Water Act doesn't regulate non-point source pollution is the difficulty of identifying responsible parties, the political resistance of regulating people's behavior, and conflicting land use authorities. Non-regulatory approaches are having some success. Typical non-point source pollution sources are urban stormwater runoff, exacerbated by large amounts of impervious surface, agricultural and farming practices that allow animals access to streams and riverbanks, as well as sediment loading from non-buffered tilled land and acid mine drainage from abandoned mines. Despite large amounts of money and multi-agency efforts, large systems such as the Chesapeake Bay continue to defy these efforts to achieve significant improvements. To date, the most prevalent pollution control strategy for non-point source pollution are best management practices, or BMPs, applied on site. Vegetative buffer strips between agricultural fields and the stream, fencing cattle from streams, sediment holding ponds, hay bale and plastic runoff fences at construction sites are ways that BMPs are being used to control non-point source pollution. One regulatory control recently updated is the Total Maximum Daily Load permitting system, which determines the allowable stream or river the waters of the United States really means under the Clean Water Act. Key provisions under the law are water quality standards, which include water quality criteria and designated uses. Permitting of effluents into waterways under the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System, best available technologies to control effluent, and the funding of publicly owned treatment plants. Non-point source pollution into waterways is not regulated, but the Office of Wetlands, Oceans, and Watersheds at EPA provides funds and educational resources to control non-point sources of pollution. Wetlands are strictly protected under the Clean Water Act Section 404 permitting program, which limits and regulates dredge and fill activities in coastal and freshwater wetlands. The protection of watersheds also supports the four-prong approach of the Safe Drinking Water Act to protect and prevent pollution in watersheds that provide drinking water. The states share responsibility with EPA for implementing the Clean Water Act, and all but 3 states are delegated the responsibilities entirely with oversight by EPA.